close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Star Sport podcast. I'm Jack McCarran of the Southern Star and I'm joined in studio by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. On today's show we're going to take a look at the funding issues facing Olympic rowing hopefuls Pairc Ui Rinn and Shane O'Driscoll in what is a crucial year for the pair.
We'll also chat to Cork ladies football star Orla Finn ahead of their league game against Tipperary at Pairc Ui Rinn on Saturday evening.
Now Kieran, before we talk about the rowing, there was some positive Cork related sports news over the weekend, with Bandon athlete Phil Healy picking up gold in the National Indoors on Sunday and the Cork hurlers picking up their first win of the season on Saturday.
I suppose Phil Healy is the gift that keeps on giving, Jack. You know, she's going fantastically well at the moment. That was the National Indoors at Abbottstown over the weekend. She won her heat at the canter on Saturday evening, and then in the final itself on Sunday, Phil is just a different class. Like, she was it was 52.81 that she actually won in, which is a good bit outside her personal best of 52.08, but she won it over second despair. Like, she's a class act, and it really tees her up now for the European Indoor Athletics Championships in Glasgow. They're running from March 1st to the 3rd, and Phil is in super form going into that. She's actually ranked the 4th fastest woman in Europe over the 400 metres this year, so she's a real genuine live medal prospect. And if she could run her PB 52.08, she'd actually be ranked second, you know. So that shows the calibre that she's at now and the ranking that she's at going into the European Indoors. So it's fantastic, and she's heading up the Irish team as well. Athletics Ireland is sending a team of 16 there, and Phil, like I said, Phil is just one we'll all put our hopes on. Touch wood.
Yeah, I have to say now, watching Phil Healy's win at Abbottstown on Saturday or Sunday, whichever day, Sunday I think, the first thing that popped into my mind was Frankel's win in the 2011 2000 Guineas. Now, for those of you who don't know who Frankel was, he's one of the greatest thoroughbred racehorses of all time, and I hope Phil takes this as a compliment. It's not meant to be a slight comparing her to a horse. Frankel was truly the greatest, and it's just the way he picked up about halfway into 2000 Guineas. He went 15 lengths clear. The commentator couldn't believe his eyes, and just watching Phil's race on Sunday, the distance kept growing.
Yeah.
Her competitors could not keep in touch, and the fans at Abbottstown stood up and gave her a standing ovation about 100 metres out from the finish, which is the exact same thing that happened in Newmarket in 2011. So for anyone who doesn't follow horse racing, look up Frankel's 2011 Guineas and look up Phil Healy's win at the weekend. Maybe I'll do a little video where I put the two of them together. But it really was something else. And so just so Phil knows, that's a compliment. Frankel is arguably the greatest, and maybe Phil will go on to be one of the greatest Irish athletes of all time.
Hopefully.
The hurlers, Kieran, got a good win against Clare on Saturday evening. Newcestown's Luke Meade got a run in the second half.
Yeah, I think this is just what the hurlers needed. They lost their first two games, Kilkenny and Wexford, so they really needed to get on the board. I know there's no relegation in the hurling league in Division 1 this year, but still you need a couple of wins to kind of get momentum going before the championships. So yeah, Patrick Horgan got 16 points, 15 of those came from frees. So that might say more about Clare's fouling rather than what Cork got from open play. But still, it was really, really important for the Cork hurlers to kind of get on the board. And it was actually a fantastic day for Cork hurling up in Pairc Ui Rinn, because earlier in the day you had the Harty Cup final and the Tom Collin Cup final, and there were two all Cork affairs. Unfortunately for the Hamilton High School in Bandon, they lost the Tom Collin Cup final against Rochestown, but Middleton then won the Harty Cup. So you had 3 wins for 3 Cork teams in Pairc Ui Rinn on Saturday, so it was just a great boost. You know, there's been a lot of negativity and a lot of kind of doom and gloom the last couple of weeks after Pairc Ui Rinn and all that, and the footballers and their trouble. So to get that winning feeling back in again is very important. And I suppose for the Cork seniors now, Jack, they've a tough test on this weekend. They're travelling to take on Limerick, and Limerick are 3 from 3. So that's a real test of where this Cork team is.
Yeah, I watched the Limerick Kilkenny game at the weekend, and it really did look like men against boys stuff. So Limerick looking like deserved favourites for this year's All-Ireland, I'd say. But now we'll move on from the hurling for now, and the big story in last week's Southern Star was rowing related, and it's very confusing, and essentially it boiled down to 2 former world rowing champions, Paul Donovan and Shane O'Driscoll, having to potentially dip into their own savings to fund their Olympic dream. Could you maybe give us just a refresher of the details on that story, Kieran, before we move on?
Yeah, I suppose Shane O'Driscoll, Mark Donovan, they're two Skibbereen rowers, and back in 2017 in the men's lightweight pair, they won everything there was to win. So they won World Gold, European Gold, and the 3 World Cup rowing regattas. So it was a clean sweep for Mark and Shane. But the men's lightweight pair is a non-Olympic class boat, so they can't get to the Olympics in that boat, and Shane and Mark want to row at the Olympics. So they had a choice: will they try and oust Gary and Paul from the double, the lightweight double, which is an Olympic boat, or will they make the jump to the men's heavyweight pair, which is also an Olympic class boat? They've decided to do the latter. They want to kind of shape their own journey, have their own story, instead of, I suppose, kind of going up in competition against Gary and Paul. So last year they found it tough going, because they're gone from lightweights to heavyweights, and they're now competing against fellas who are 6'4" and 90 kgs or more, you know. And these two boys were only 70 kgs each was their average weight when they were lightweight. So they had a tough enough year last year, but they were expecting that, Jack, to be honest, because it's a tough transition. They finished 16th at the Worlds in 2018. So going into this year, they depend on funding, because they're 2 full-time students as well. They depend on the funding, and they found out there just last week that they've lost their Sport Ireland funding. Basically, they were getting world-class funding, which is a maximum of 20,000, and that's what they got last year. And that's that's effectively their wage for the year. But now they've lost that. So the two boys, like Mark was saying, it's a kick in the teeth. They have no money coming in this year, and why that hits them so hard. This is Olympic qualification year. At the World Championships late August and September in Austria, they can qualify for next year's Olympics, and that's where they want to get. There's 11 places up for grabs at this year's World Championships, and Mark and Shane are working really, really, really hard to try and get in that top 11. So for them to lose their funding right now it's a big blow, because rowing is an expensive sport, and like I was saying, this money, it pays for putting petrol in their car to take them up and down to the National Rowing Centre. It puts food on the table for them, and they have to eat good food. You know, it's not the stuff that
they're not eating what you're eating, burgers and chips.
No, they're eating good food. Yeah. They're eating good food. Yeah, they're not living off the Kieran diet, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone. As well as that, then I suppose when they go to international regattas, they have to pay kind of levies. So that could be 300 for a World Cup regatta, 600 or 900 for a World Championships. So it's all money, and they don't have no money coming in, Jack. And that's it's a killer for the two of them.
Yeah, well, obviously the rowers in West Cork are very popular, especially amongst our readership. So when we posted this story on social media on Friday, it's fair to say it blew up. And I'll just read some of the Facebook comments now that were posted to give you a flavour of the reaction. Donald Murnan says, shameful and totally wrong. This gross error needs to be rectified. So obviously unhappy to read what he saw. Martina White, hang in there, lads. You are brilliant at what you do, and hopefully Rowing Ireland will see sense. Derek Collins says, disgraceful. If they were from Dublin, it would be different, but unfortunately they don't have the rowers. And finally, Irene Howrahan said, these two are world-class sportsmen and have no backing. They dedicate every waking moment to their sport. The joy that rowing has given to Ireland the last few years, and they haven't met criteria, ? Sometimes you want to scream at the powers that be. Now, Kieran, obviously a fairly visceral reaction from the West Cork contingent, but there's always two sides to every story, and you also spoke to Sport Ireland to hear their thoughts on the issue. So what did they have to say? I suppose there is this, the stress too. There is a bit of confusion over this. I was talking to a person high up in Sport Ireland, and they told me that Shane and Mark didn't meet the criteria, so they weren't eligible for funding. Mark and Shane are adamant that they were told that they did meet the criteria, but even if you meet the criteria, that doesn't necessarily mean that they give you the funding. But they were told that they did meet the criteria, so there is some confusion there between I suppose Sport Ireland and Rowing Ireland. But just to stress as well, Rowing Ireland did get, I think, 290,000 for the rowers, which is fantastic. You know, kind of they're very heavily backed and stuff. But it's just Shane and Mark have missed out. How this hits as well, because this Sport Ireland funding, for the first time this year, it was done on a 2-year basis. So the lads have effectively missed out on 40,000. It's 20,000 this year and next year. If Sport Ireland have confirmed too, though, if Shane and Mark do qualify for the Olympics, if they do get the top 11 at the World Championships, that it'll be retrospective to funding, so it will be backdated.
But again, I have to point out, like, it's such an important year, and they don't have the money, Jack, right now that they need. Kind of, it's fair enough saying, lads, if you qualify for Tokyo, we'll back pay you. But like, they need the money right now.
They needed to actually qualify.
They needed to qualify, you know. So it's kind of they're really up against it. Shane and Mark are looking into appealing the decision. They're very keen to appeal it. They're not happy, and I can't blame them for being not happy. Kind of, I just think here that we've missed a fabulous opportunity for a great story. 2 local lads, 2 skip rowers who have dominated lightweight rowing, and now they want to get to the Olympics in heavyweight rowing. It's a fantastic story, and like Gary and Paul inspired hundreds and thousands of kids after 2016. This is inspiring too, because they're 2 fellas who are chasing their dream, and if they do achieve it, it shows everyone out there that follow your dream, that the impossible is possible.
Well, this story is likely to continue to develop in the coming days, and you can keep up to date on that on southernstar.ie and in the paper throughout the coming weeks. But on a more positive side of things, Kieran, you spoke to Olympic silver medal Paul Donovan recently, and we'll play some of that audio in a minute. But firstly, how was he?
Paul is in good form. He's in great form. He's busy with college at the moment, as you will see from his hairstyle. He doesn't even have time to cut his hair, but he's training away kind of as well. It's kind of, I suppose it's hard for him to balance training and college, but he's going okay. And Gary's he's left our shores again. Like last year, he's gone down to New Zealand and Australia for a couple of months. So the talk there is that Gary's going to compete in the European Rowing Championships in the single. Paul is probably a bit busy at the moment, and he might not be able to row at the European Rowing Championships this year. So Gary's going to go in the single, and hopefully he'll do fantastic. So he's down there at the moment. He's sunning himself with training and rowing really hard.
Good stuff, Kieran. Well, let's hear from Paul now.
We're joined here now by Paul Donovan, the world rowing superstar. Paul, Irish national indoor rowing champion, and you set a new national record. Tell me some more bit about that.
So I suppose a bit of an unusual event for us today. We were at a regatta, but it was indoors on the rowing machine. So not kind of out in the water, side by side stuff that we prefer really. But we use rowing machines a lot as a training tool in the sport, especially when the weather's not so good during the winter over here. And so they have the national championships, which are indoors. They have them in the UL Arena there, and they're growing every year. They had about 1,500 entries at least, I think, this year, so it's a massive event. And it's kind of good. Like, the rowing machines are always the same standard all over the world, so you can compare times and stuff like that. So I think, Joe was good to, I suppose, set the record for the event this morning. Pretty pleased about that. And my own club, UCC, won the best overall team, so I'd like to make mention of that too.
I think it's a good indicator so that you've gone well indoors. Like, is that off the back of a good winter, and is it a good indication for the season ahead?
I think so, yeah. I think it's Joe my best score this time of year across all the past years, only by a small bit now. So it is a fantastic test of just the general fitness. So that is it is in good condition. It's just to keep pushing on now as we come into the spring, and then a bit more then as we get into the summer's racing. So still a long way ahead yet, but it's nice to know that still kind of consistent and a little bit ahead of previous years, which is quite positive.
You mentioned UCC there. Obviously, you're studying medicine in UCC. How do you find juggling the two, rowing and college? Is it hectic 24/7?
Yeah, pretty busy all the time there. Kind of find it difficult to find time to get a haircut. But I know it's tremendous fun. I've really been enjoying it, and I think the bit of routine for me is nice and forces me to get out of bed there in the mornings, because otherwise if you're full-time training, you'd be sitting in bed there or lying in bed all day, and you'd be like, I have all day to do training, and then today past your Monday without you realising it. So once you're up and in college then, and you'd get your training done afterwards, and do a bit more then on the weekends. So I've been enjoying the routine.
And are you enjoying life without Gary? He's headed away for a couple of months. So how's that going to work kind of with the year ahead, kind of training-wise? So he's going to train down New Zealand, Australia, is it?
Yeah. So he's gone down to the southern hemisphere again, like we did last year. And Joe, he'll keep fit there, and I'll keep fit here. And we've been in Spain there over the Christmas for our training camp, so we've put some good miles in the boat together. And a lot of time this time of year we don't spend all day every day in the double, and it is good to take a break from each other before we kind of come into an intense period then in the boat during the summer. So I think Joe could work quite well for us. Joe, we were both in great shape after coming back from there last year. So if he comes back in good shape again this year, then Joe, we should be looking forward to the summer.
Obviously 2019 is Olympic qualification year, that's kind of later on in the year, the World Championships. Does everything kind of work towards that this year? Now, the Europeans and the World Cups beforehand, but is that the World Championships later in the year, is that the big target? Or?
Yeah, it would be just the biggest event in the year really, so you have to make that the priority. And I suppose, if you won everything and lost the World Championship, it'll be a bad year compared to if you lost everything and won the World Championship. It'll be a good year, so you have to put that number one. But then, obviously, just as each of them kind of comes up, you try and do the best that you can at it as well. So. Have they changed the kind of selection? Well, not the selection, the qualification criteria. It was top 11 back in 2015. Has it changed this year? Is it? Yeah. So they've brought it or just reduced the numbers down to, I think it's the top 7. In the end of August will qualify. So just a couple of places there, but hopefully, if we put in some good training between here and then, we should make that, please God. The fact you're going in as world champions into this year, does that change your approach? Like kind of you're the team to knock off the top of the pedestal now. Does that, like, you're the team to be beaten? Does that? No, it makes no difference at all to us, to be honest, because I suppose all year every year we're just trying to go as fast as we can on the big day. So regardless of where we've come the year before, we're just going to try and do the best we can for just on getting myself confused now. But we just want to be at the end of the year, we just want to put in our fastest race. So it's irrelevant what we've done in the past. Obviously, you can take some confidence in the training that we're doing for this year, knowing that it worked well for us last year. But I think in terms of people putting targets and us putting targets on people, I think there's a bit of nonsense really, and just a bit of talk that people throw around now and again. But I don't think it makes that much difference. You said at the World Final last year, was Gary said after, that was your best ever strokes when you won World Gold in Plovdiv. Can you go better again? Like that was obviously a fantastic race. But is there a perfect race out there that you want to achieve? Can you go even better? I don't know. I think we'd like to think so anyway, and believe it, and we'll definitely try and get better. But I suppose time will be the judge of that, really, won't it? So we'll have to wait and find out. No, fantastic, Paul. Thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck for the season ahead. Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you for listening to the Star Sports Podcast. Don't forget to pick up this week's Southern Star, featuring our award-winning sports section that has everything a sports fan in West Cork could want. Available every Thursday in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world. The Southern Star, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Kieran, it's a big weekend for the Cork ladies footballers as they meet Tipperary in the National Football League on Saturday, and it's also a double header at Pairc Ui Rinn with the men. That's fantastic, brilliant to see, absolutely brilliant to see. This is the first of 2 double headers for the Cork ladies and the men's in the National League this year. And it's like Breed Stack was saying there a couple of weeks ago, it's a monumental shift forward, kind of, I suppose, for the exposure of the ladies game and for coverage and all that. It's brilliant to see them share the stage with the Cork men on Saturday evening. It's like I said, it's the first of 2 games. It was meant to happen in Pairc Ui first when it was announced in January that there'd be 2 double headers, but obviously the state of the pitch in Pairc Ui means that's not going to happen. So that would have been a piece of history, Jack. That would have been fantastic because the Cork lady footballers have never ever played in Pairc Ui before, so we'll have to wait a bit for that. The Cork ladies are still scheduled to play. It is on June 1st, their Munster Championship game against Kerry in Pairc Ui on Saturday, June 1st, and that's going to precede the semi-final between Cork and either Tipperary or Limerick in the men's game. So again, that's 3 double headers for the Cork ladies coming up, and like I was saying, it's fantastic for the game and to put them on that stage. And to be fair to Pairc Ui Rinn, when it is a full house, it is a really great venue. Like, you've seen it on television when the hurlers were playing against Clare the other night. The pitch was in immaculate condition, the crowd were getting behind the team. So I know they'd rather be in Pairc Ui, but Pairc Ui Rinn, it's nice that Cork can have two decent grounds. They beat Westmeath in Mullingar in the opening round of the league, 10 points to 2. I know there was a fairly heavy breeze that day, which probably reflects on the scoreline. But just before we really preview this week's game, how are they looking in the overall scheme of things as they approach 2019 this season?
So was Cork were All-Ireland finalists last year, and that was fantastic because it's a pretty young team. It's a young team, and even this year again, Aoife Fitzgerald, the manager, he's bringing in some more young players. You've Darren Emer Kiley from Valley Rovers. You have sports from West Cork interest. You have Claire O'Shea there from Beara, came on the last day. Sive O'Leary from Kinsale started her first game against Westmeath. So he's bringing on all these young players. He's trying to strengthen the squad, Jack, which is good to see because the Cork ladies need options going forward. The Mourne Abbey players are coming back in now after winning the All-Ireland. So that's fantastic. The likes of Ciara and Darren O'Sullivan. But I just like to stress for people, if they're on kind of the edge, whether or not they'll go to Pairc Ui Rinn on Saturday night, just get along because this ladies football is a fantastic spectacle. The last couple of years covering the Cork ladies games or the West Cork ladies, they're brilliant football games. They genuinely are. They're fast, there's no cynical play. They go out and they play good football, it's attacking. And even again, being from the West Cork perspective and looking after our own down here, you'll have Martina O'Brien, Melissa Duggan, Emma Spillane, Orla Finn, Anya Terry O'Sullivan, Niamh Cotter, Laura Mahoney from Skib was getting her chance this year. So like I said, Sive O'Leary, Claire O'Shea, the kind of Kiley twins. So there's a lot of local players playing with the Cork team. So we really should go along and support them because it's a huge deal for them on Saturday night.
Well, you mentioned Orla Finn there. She scored 4 points against Westmeath the last day. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about her? And we're going to hear from her in a minute as well.
Orla's a top class forward and she has been for the last couple of years. She had to bide her time before getting her chance because when she came along first, Jack, she was basically a sub for a couple of years because the likes of Valerie Mulcahy were ahead of her. That was a really dominant Cork ladies football team under Eamon Ryan. So she had to wait for her chance, and when she got it, she took it like she's an all-star 2 years ago. She's lethal, she's fast, she's clinical, she can take a chance. She's been Cork's top scorer the last couple of seasons as well, so she's a class act.
Well, you spoke to her a little earlier on, so let's hear from her now. It's Kinsale's Orla Finn.
Hi Orla, thanks for taking the time to come on. It's obviously a big weekend for Cork ladies football with the first double-header with the men's team on Saturday evening in Pairc Ui Rinn. What's the talk in the camp like ahead of this? How excited is everyone?
Yeah, everyone's extremely excited coming up to this game. It's a little bit different than the usual games when it's going to be a double-header ahead of the men's game. So we're all very excited, and it's an absolutely brilliant thing for the ladies football. It's great exposure for us to really promote the game.
How much of a step forward is this for ladies football? That you're given the same platform as with a men's game. Like you said, it's a real step forward.
Yeah, there's been huge improvements in ladies football over the last number of years, and I think this is a huge step forward again, having a double header with the men's, and hopefully it will become the norm now in the next few years. We've 3 double headers anyway this year before the men's games, and I think we're playing Mayo as well away before the men's game, so it's absolutely fantastic for us, and it just makes our games, you'd be looking forward to them a little bit more when it's going to be a bigger platform and a bigger stage on the day.
Is the hope so that you can put in a big performance against Tip on Saturday?
Yeah, it's going to be a big game for us now. We've played 2 league games already. We've lost 1 and won 1, so it's an important one for us to try and get a few points in it. So playing in front of before the men's game now will really add to the occasion for us.
Was it any bit disappointing, Orla, when you learned it wouldn't be in Pairc Ui Rinn, because obviously that would have been the first kind of historic game in Pairc Ui Rinn? Was it a bit disappointing, or is it the fact it's a double header is almost more important?
Yeah, I think the double header is kind of more important for me anyway, because I think there's huge steps. That's showing huge steps in the development of ladies football. It would have been lovely to play in Pairc Ui Rinn. I've never played there before. We've trained there, but I've never played. This is my 9th season now playing senior football with Cork, and I've never played in Pairc Ui Rinn. But I'm sure in the foreseeable future we will be getting the opportunity to play in Pairc Ui Rinn. So just having a double header is nice anyway, and Pairc Ui Rinn is a lovely pitch too. So hopefully we'll be able to get a win now there on Saturday.
Touch wood so that the Pairc Ui Rinn pitch will be up for action on June 1st when you're going to play Kerry in the Munster Championship. But just quick words over just on the game against Tipperary. Kind of, you said there you're after 1 win and 1 loss. So is it important to get points on the board now, especially it being a home game?
Yeah, it's definitely important for us. We've had 2 games now together. There's a lot of new young girls have stepped up now playing senior football for their first time. This is their first year. So I think we're after kind of forming that bond, and I think hopefully now we'll push on and drive forward, because this is an important game for us to win. And as you say, a home game, you'd want to be winning a few of those anyway.
And you mentioned there about some of the young players coming on. It must be pretty special for you against Westmeath for Sive O'Leary. She was starting off her first game for Cork, a fellow Kinsale woman, so that was pretty special, I'd say.
Yeah, it was lovely. It's a day in history for Kinsale GA anyway. The two of us in the full forward line. So, I'd be used to playing with Sive, with club, and she'd be used to playing with me. So it's nice to have her alongside me in the full forward line.
Are the Mourne Abbey contingent, are they back for this game, or?
No, they probably won't be available for this game, but we've Monaghan the following week, and I'm sure that they'll be available for that game then.
Oh, fantastic. Come here, Orla, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck on Saturday. Hope everything works out fantastic. And it's like we said, it's great to see that Cork ladies are forming double hitters and they're performing on the big stage, because you really, really do deserve it. So best of luck, Orla.
Yeah, thanks a million, Kieran.
Thank you for listening to the Star Sports Podcast. Don't forget to pick up this week's Southern Star, featuring our award-winning sports section that has everything a sports fan in West Cork could want. Available every Thursday in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world. The Southern Star, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Kieran, before we wrap up today's podcast, you might just give us a quick rundown of what to expect in Thursday's sports section. Another cracker, I anticipate.
I'm a bit biased here, Jack, but it's a really, really good sports section again this week. Now we've loads in it. We've interviewed with Niamh Cotter from Pairc just about the Cork ladies game in Pairc Ui Rinn on Saturday night. We have an interesting interview with Laura Tracy. She's the Cork camogie player, and she talks about how she defined the right work in camogie balance. She was working as a nurse for years. She was working as a nurse in the Mercy, and it was a league game last year where she came off 3 night shifts in a row and she'd win and play a game against Galway. So she just talks about that and how she did change kind of after that. Clonakilty Rugby, fantastic weekend for them just gone, Jack. They won Division 2. They won promotion from Division 2 of the Munster Junior League. They'll go up as second place, so they're back in Division 1 next year. Great stuff. They moved the match report, obviously the Hemis. It was disappointing for them that they lost the Tom Cullen Cup final, but we still have a report on that, and they can reflect on a job well done. They did really, really well to get there. So, like I said, another action-packed, fantastic sports section.
Sounds good. I cannot wait to read it. Competition time now, and we're giving away a 1-month subscription to the digital edition of the Southern Star. The digital edition is served up in exceptional quality, and you can zoom, print and share articles at the touch of a button. It's also available online at the same time the print edition is available in shops, and you can save up to 20%. To be in with a chance of winning, simply answer the following question. Orla Finn represents which GAA club? Kieran, any ideas?
It's Kinsale. It's Kinsale.
Okay, well, you can take Kieran's word for it. He is the Star Sport editor. And you can tweet your answer to the Southern Star using the hashtag StarSportPodcast, or you can email us at digital@southernstar.ie.
Just to stress again, the answer to the competition is Kinsale. So everyone get entering. But thanks very much for joining us again. Please get in touch if you're tuning in from somewhere unusual in the world. We'll be back next week at the same time, so make sure to rate, review and subscribe on iTunes, Android or anywhere else you listen to the show. Thanks very much.